So I'm just going to start from the beginning because I keep getting asking questions. So here's part one to Zamara's story. Zamara, 10 months old, has a seizure. She was fine 1 minute, eating a snack with her brother and sister. I laid her down to change her diaper. Her eyes sank in the bottom of her head, and at first I thought she was playing because she was a very, very goofy and silly baby. But then her lips, around her lips and her mouth, they started going bluish gray. EMTs were called. They bring us to the emergency room. Again, this was at Rutland, Vermont emergency room. She has another seizure there. They bring us to Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center, which is in New Hampshire State. They do an EEG. We have to stay there for 24 hours. They did a CT scan. Everything came back clean. The only thing that got me with that was they chalked it to febrile seizures, which is due to a very high fever. She never had a fever, so Rutland Hospital did a viral swab on her nose. She tested positive for a couple upper respiratory viral infections, but she wasn't sick at the time. She may have tested positive for them, but she had no cold symptoms, no fever. They checked her 4 times at the emergency room. She wasn't sick. New Hampshire State, because her EEG and her CT scan came back clean, they did no other testing. They chalked it to what Rutland had said. So I left it at that because I don't know. I'm not a doctor. So months down the line, Zamara, almost at a year old, was barely crawling. She wasn't walking yet. Still everything, she was fine, even though she was consistently always getting sick. I want to say July of 2023 is when she started having symptoms. Unexplained symptoms. They would randomly come and go. I would be in the doctor's office every week, if not twice a week, which is her pediatrician's office. I would bring her to the emergency department, which is in Rutland, Vermont as well, and urgent cares around our area, consistently, if not every week. Her doctor's office, we were in there so much as they would just say, everything the same? Yes, it is. And then they would just, the women behind the desk, they would just laugh and be like, do you want to just you want a room in the back considering you're here so much? And at first I would laugh about it with them because I was like, we are there a lot. But I have a 3 and a 5-year-old. I was never at the doctor's with them like that. That right there should have said something, obviously was not right. So we were in there all the time. Zamara would tell them, ow, boo-boo, and grab her legs. She would go consistently days, if not weeks, without walking. When she was feeling somewhat okay, she would drag her right leg. She would have consistently high fevers throughout the night, 103, 104. This went on for 7 months until I was listened to. Again, December 19th, her doctor passed her physical. December 16th, she turned 2 years old. Her and my son are 11 months apart. Her brother is December 18th. She's December 16th. We threw them their birthday party that weekend. December 19th, she had her physical. Dr. Wood passed her physical, even stating her eye was bulging out. And I watched that man squeeze her belly with a 7-centimeter mass, solid mass in her stomach, which is the size of a melon. The baby was 22 pounds. For a physician not to feel something that big in a tiny baby is beyond me, but he did. Passed her with no abnormal findings. Backtrack a couple weeks before that, daycare, probably actually about a month before that, daycare wrote me a letter because she was getting stuck at school. She would take a nap. She would take a nap and she couldn't move anymore when she would go to get up. Daycare would call me and tell me, she would look at them. Miss Jen would look at her like she was scared because she couldn't move anymore, but she knew she could. So Dr. Wood, again, I bring her in, I give him the no. His nurse, fantastic. Her notes from her records were right on point. She had stated mom had been in here for several months stating something was wrong with the baby. So he chalks it up to a rheumatoid arthritis because her legs always hurt. without any confirmation, any kind of diagnosis, he makes a referral to, again, Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center, and still I have not received a phone call. Even before she passed away, I still never received a phone call for the referral. That was December 19th that he did her physical. December 22nd, I go to the doctors again. Zamara's running 103, 104 fever. Amy Fenning was the doctor that day. First time we had actually seen her throughout this whole time. And again, they were going to test her for the flu. And I looked at Amy and I said, Amy, I'm telling you, please, it is not the flu. There is something wrong with her. Amy looked at me, and the woman, she said, okay, let me go make a phone call. She called up to the emergency department, and there happened to be a doctor there who's afloat between UVM Medical Center and Rutland. Mary Fox, you are awesome, and I love you, and I appreciate you listening to me. The day I went in there, they did lab works at the emergency room. Zamara came back. Very high inflammation, all the other levels, high, low, high, low, high, low, all the way around. They transfer us to the WAC unit upstairs because we do not have an ICU unit here in the state of Vermont, in Rutland Hospital. We get up there, and Mary Fox happened to be the doctor that day. And I told her, I said, my opinion, it looks like something is shoving my daughter's eye, her right eye, from the inside out. And the woman listened to me. She happened to put her in for a CT scan. And I'm so thankful because that woman come back, even though it was not good news, she still listened to me for once. And 7 months of this fucking miserable pain my daughter was in, she listened to me. She came back to tell me that my daughter had a 5.6 centimeter mass behind her right eye. She had a 5.3 behind her left eye, and she had another one on her skull. So they rush us to, here I am, 9 months pregnant. They rush us to UVM Medical Center in Burlington, Vermont, which is, with Boston, the main hospitals to do studies for neuroblastoma. So we get up there, this was December 22nd, we get up there, it is Christmas. We have no doctors, again, I was told because of the holiday. December 26th came along, and it's biopsy day. So before all this, they did do a MRI and a CT scan of her body. That's when they found the 7 centimeter mass in her liver on her right side. She had probably between 15 and 20 little ones on the left side. She had it other places, her shoulders, her jawbone, every vertebrae and every portion of her spine was covered. My daughter would sit kind of like this, turtleneck, because she couldn't barely hold her own head up. So December 26th, biopsy day comes along. I bring her down to the second floor where they do all that kind of stuff at UVM Medical Center. I bring her in, I give her a kiss, they put the mask on, and then they give her the stuff, and they sedate her so that they can go ahead and do the biopsy. I leave, they told me it was going to be a few hours. I said, okay. I'm waiting. 4 hours later, still no Zamara yet. I want to say 6 hours later, and they have a code blue in between this process, and I don't know anything about any of that kind of stuff, so I didn't think nothing of it. 6, 7 hours later, they come up to tell me my daughter flatlined on the table. Her lungs collapsed on themselves, and they have no idea why, but thankfully they incubated her, and she came back. So the next time they warned me when I seen her, she was going to have all this stuff on her, as in one of my posts, I do have a picture of her. They couldn't get all the biopsy they needed, but they got enough of her liver. They got a piece from her liver and one side of the bone marrow. that